Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Brilliant as the Sun, a retelling of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4. We'll be continuing from chapter 7 from yesterday. Daksha's sacrifice. Bhrigu Muni next approached Vishnu with folded hands. It is hardly surprising that we have all behaved so badly. All living entities in the material world, from Brahma to the insignificant ant, are subject to the insurmountable spell of the illusory energy and ignorant of their true spiritual identities. We identify with our bodies and are therefore in complete darkness. I'm no better than anyone else. None of us truly appreciate how you dwell in the heart of every living entity as the Supersoul. Thus we are prone to offend others. Our only hope is that, as the eternal friend and protector of surrendered souls, you may kindly forgive for our offenses. Brahma frowned at Bhrigu. Why was the sage suggesting that he, Brahma, had misbehaved? He had not been involved in the animosity between the followers of Shiva and Daksha. The four-headed god became thoughtful. Maybe he was innocent on this occasion, but he was still prone to anger. Bhrigu knew that better than anyone. Long ago the sage had set out to see which of the three predominating deities, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, possessed the quality of pure goodness. Brahma sighed. On that occasion he had quickly become angered by just a small misdemeanor. Only Vishnu had not been disturbed despite being heinously offended. Bhrigu was right, he was also not immune to the ignorance. Still, he wanted to respond to Bhrigu and his followers. Verse 31, Brahma bowed before Vishnu, my dear Lord. One who tries to understand you by any speculative method of acquiring knowledge cannot truly know anything about you. Since you are transcendental to matter, the methods and research of any empirical process cannot reach you. He glanced over at Bhrigu. The sage would surely know what he meant. His test of the three deities had also been a material attempt to understand the Supreme. Vishnu graciously bowed in return to Brahma and thanked him. He glanced around the assembly and noticed that some present seemed perplexed. Does anyone wish to add anything? Verse 32, Indra stepped forward and bowed. Ah, King Indra, said Vishnu, please speak. Indra looked nervously at Brahma. It is not my intention to contradict Lord Brahma, who is by far my superior. Vishnu smiled encouragingly. I'm sure Brahma will not take your words wrongly. Feel free to speak. We are among friends. Indra said, although everything Lord Brahma has said is undoubtedly true, still he hesitated and tears welled in his eyes. Please continue, said Vishnu. Still what? In a choked voice, Indra continued, still you have appeared here in the material world in this beautiful 8-armed form to benedict all conditioned souls throughout the universe. Although I am accustomed to seeing your 4-armed form, I am experiencing that this form is also giving great bliss to my mind and eyes. This is proof that by your indescribable mercy, even conditioned souls with material senses can see you. Vishnu said, do you know the purpose of my 8-armed form? Indra said, Lord, this form holding weapons in 8 hands is most suitable for punishing demons who envy your devotees. On hearing this, the priests' wives who had been terrified by Virabhadra and his cohorts felt comforted. They whispered to one another, the Lord has come in this form to ensure our protection. In his presence, we need not fear anyone. They nudged and encouraged each other to step forward through the ranks of men. Vishnu signaled with a slight motion of his hand for the men to step one side and allow the ladies access. He smiled warmly at the women, putting them at ease. Please speak without fear. Verse 33, one of the women said, Lord, we are the priest's wives. Vishnu nodded and smiled. Yes, I know you all very well. The wives blushed. The Lord knew them, but of course he resided in their hearts. Their spokeswoman said, "My dear Lord, as you know, Brahma ordered Daksha to arrange their sacrifice. However, he angered Shiva, who destroyed the entire ritual." Killing all the animals, they are sacrificed so that priests can test their mantras, which, if chanted correctly, give the animals new bodies. So this is the actual purpose of sacrifice of the animals. That wasn't in that time and not in the present age. Everyone is pleased to see an animal rejuvenated, but that pleasing atmosphere was ruined. Many animals were killed and their corpses strewn around the sacrificial arena. We tried our best to purify the arena, but feel its sanctity has been lost. Please, by your glance, bring the dead animals back to life, then the sacrifice will again become pleasing. The Lord looked with affection at the ladies, then he glanced in the direction of the dead animals, who scrambled to their feet, each of them with a young, healthy body. Everyone gasped. The ladies exclaimed, "All glories to Lord Narayan." Verse 34, the sages surged forward. Cries of "Wonderful, wonderful" reverberated everywhere. One said, "Without anyone's help, you perform acts impossible for others." Another said, "Yet you are not attached to the results." Still another said, "Who can understand your greatness? The whole world, even eminent gods like Brahma, seek blessings from the goddess of fortune. Yet although you are worshipped by many thousands of goddesses of fortune, you are not attached to any of them, for you are completely self-sufficient and self-satisfied." Everyone turned to each other, exclaiming their appreciation. "He is unique, amazing, inconceivable." One sage raised a doubt. Turning to a group of siddhas who had achieved prema bhakti, he said, "Are these great saints not also self-satisfied?" The siddhas smiled. "Yes, but we are not self-sufficient." Verse 35, the siddhas prostrated themselves before Vishnu, then they stood up. When they stood up, tears of love streamed down their cheeks. The Lord too looked at them with tear-filled eyes. In a choked voice, the chief siddha said, "Most people are full of anxiety. If such unfortunate persons would only absorb their minds in hearing your ambrosial pastimes, they would soon forget their troubles." Many present looked surprised. One person said, "We have numerous duties and dependents who rely on us, which causes us anxiety. How can hearing Vishnu's pastimes free us of our worry?" The siddha said, "Just as an elephant suffering in the forest fire feels immediate relief by entering a river, similarly the mind at once experiences respite by absorption in Vishnu's pastimes." One who has experienced the complete happiness of hearing about Vishnu does not even care for pious or impious activities. He turned to the sages desiring impersonal liberation and said, "Such joy is comparable to merging into Brahman." The sages looked at each other in wonderment. Attaining the Brahman was very difficult. These siddhas had achieved comparable success just by hearing about Vishnu. That was remarkable. Prasuti did not doubt the siddhas. She knew how her sister Devahuti had suffered terribly when her husband left for the forest. Vishnu had become her son and instructed her about devotional service to himself. Of course, this is when Lord incarnated himself as Lord Kapila, Prasuti's son, Devahuti's son. By this hearing, Devahuti had achieved complete happiness. Prasuti looked wistfully at the siddhas. If only Vishnu's pure devotees were conducting the sacrifice instead of priests desiring material remuneration. Maybe she should ask Vishnu. He could make anything happen. Did he not just revive the slaughtered animals? Verse 36. Edging her way through the crowd, she called out, "O Lord, O Supreme Controller." Vishnu looked over the crowd of heads to the source of the sound. Seeing Prasuti trying to approach him, he indicated the Siddhas, gods and Brahmins should make way for her. With folded hands, she came before him. "Welcome to you. I pray you be pleased with us. I offer you all respect. O abode of the goddess of fortune, may you and your beloved consort please deliver us. Vishnu smiled. What would you like? My lord, without your presence the sacrifice is not auspicious, just as a decorated headless body is useless despite its opulence and grandeur. This sacrifice is also useless. Its focus is gaining material benefits rather than satisfying you. Prasuti stood gazing at Vishnu. She did not want to offend the priests, but they were not devotees. They performed sacrifice for material results only. Hopefully the Lord would understand her desire and purify their intentions. Vishnu returned her gaze and smiled. Her face lit up. She bowed her head. The Lord understood her heart. Verse 37, the guardians of the various planets known as the Lokapals had been silently awaiting their turn to speak. They looked over at Brahma. Had the great creator been correct when he said no material method of knowledge can help one know Vishnu? Or had Indra been right when he pointed out Vishnu can reveal himself to whomever he wants, even materialists? After conferring, they stepped forward, and one of them said, Dear Lord, persons like us put much faith in direct perception. Sometimes by your grace we also see you, but do we really see you? After all, we are not able to fully appreciate your charming personal sweetness. It seems we only perceive a material conception of you. You, however, are beyond the 5 material elements. The Lord smiled graciously at them but did not reply. He looked about. He wanted to hear from others. Verse 38, the great mystic said, It is true that you are seen only when you reveal yourself. The question arises, who do you favor? As far as we understand, you are pleased with 2 types of person. First, there are those who by cultivating knowledge of you realize they are your superior energy. As sunshine is not different from the sun, they know the individual souls to be one with you. These people are very dear to you. Others may not be conversant with such spiritual truths, but nevertheless have faith in you as the Supreme Lord and know everyone to be your servants. They engage themselves in serving you with faith and love, and you always show them mercy. Vishnu looked from one to another. Do you mean that we are one undifferentiated spirit, and only when acted on by the modes of nature do I appear as a Lord and you as my servants? Verse 39. The yogis repeatedly shook their heads and exclaimed, We offer our respectful obeisances unto you, the Supreme. The leader said, Only one bewildered by the spell of your illusory energy thinks this way. Your external energy is comprised of 3 qualities, the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. By this energy, you manifest the creation along with all material bodies, maintain it, and later destroy it. However, your external energy never controls you. You appear in your eternal spiritual body. Unlike us conditioned souls who must accept material forms, your body is never under the modes of nature. Vishnu showed his pleasure at their reply. So we will continue from here onwards next time, because there are still some reading left from this chapter, chapter 7, Daksha sacrifice. Thank you for joining. Wish you all a blissful day ahead. Hare Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.